Hello everyone, myself Mihir A. Mishra, Assistant Professor at GIDC Degree Engineering College, Navsari, Abraham. So, in this lecture session, we are going to see what is exception handling. Okay, uh, this concept is with respect to Java programming language, that is under subject OOP 1, Object Oriented Programming 1, Semester 4. Now, the key topics of this exception handling chapters are introduction to exception, what is runtime strike mechanism, default exception handling, exception hierarchy, how we can handle exception using try catch block, what is the flow or control flow of try catch block, then methods which are used to print exception information, try with multiple catch block, finally block, difference between final, finally, finalize, control flow in try catch finally, and control flow in nested try catch finally, throw and throws keyword, various possible compile time error in exception handling, customized or we can say user defined exceptions, and top 10 exceptions what normally arises during our programming practice. Okay, so now we'll start with the first point, that is introduction to exception. So what is an exception? To understand that concept, let's take one example. Suppose your lecture hours start at 8 a.m. morning. To attend that lecture, you have to leave your home at 7 a.m. morning, as you are almost 20 to 25 kilometers away from the college. So your normal routine is you are waking up at 6 o'clock, getting ready. You leave your home at 7 o'clock, and by 7:30 or 7:45 you reach at your college and you are going to attend regulars properly. Now, one day, suppose at 7 o'clock you leave your home. Once you cover just 1 kilometer from your home and your tire got punctured. Your tire got punctured. So now what you can do, you are having two ways. First way, you just uh, leave your bike there only, okay, and take any auto rickshaw or any vehicle and come to your college and attend the lecture. And second, you just go away at your home, okay, as at 7 o'clock there is no any repair shop is open. So in first possibility, what happens? Still you are in the see you left your bike at that location only where there is no shop, nothing is there. Okay, and you, and in second option, what happens? You are going to back at your home. So in first option, still you are in the class. You are in the class. Your normal flow is executing. You are in the class, but your mind is somewhere else. Whereas in second ones, what happens? You are going to be reach at your home and you are not going to attend your lecture. That means you are going to disturb your normal flow. You are going to disturb a normal flow. Why? Because there is some unwanted unexpected event occurs, that is your tire got punctured. Okay, so what is the definition of an exception? An exception is unexpected unwanted event that disturbs the normal flow of your program. That is called as an exception. So for example, let's we say tire punctured or sleeping exception or file not found exception. That is very important. uh, First two are the just what we can say, not exactly that type of exception occurs in our systems, but the last one, that is file not found, that means we are going to access some file but that file is not available. That we'll see later on how that is going to be happened and what is the solution of that. But these are the various exceptions examples. Okay, it is highly recommended to handle exceptions because the main objective of the exception handling is graceful termination of the program. Yeah? Now, exception handling doesn't mean repairing an exception. We have to provide alternative way to continue rest of the program normally. Is the concept of exception handling. Okay, so we are not going to repair that exception. We are just what we are doing. We are just providing the alternative way to continue rest of the program. what I say to you in their example, you just left your bike at that location and you are going to continue your lectures. Hmm? Okay, your mind is not there in the lecture because your आपने जो है आपका बाइक जो है वो आप वहीं पे छोड़ के आए हो. Okay, so we are not going to repair that puncture, but we are just providing the alternative way. Leave your bike over there and you just try to attend the lectures. Okay, so here is the example. Try, in the try block our risky code is there. Like this one is one example. Read data from remote file located at Mumbai server. So if that file is not available, then we have to handle that one, that error. Okay, so that exception, sorry. So that exception will be taken by this catch block, and the exception is file not found exception. Okay, if this file doesn't found, then what we have to do, we have to use local file and continue rest of the program. So we are not going to create that file in Mumbai location, we are just using some normal file and we are just continue our program. So we are not going to repair exceptions, we are just providing the alternative way to continue the rest of the program. Okay, now the next topic, that is runtime stack mechanism. As we know, for each and every thread, JVM will create a runtime stack. Each and every method call performed by that thread will be stored in this corresponding stack. Each entry in a stack is called stack frame or activation record. After completing every method call, the corresponding entry from the stack will be removed. After completing all method calls, the stack will become empty and that empty stack will be destroyed by JVM just before terminating the thread. Okay, let's take one example. So here we are having one example, class test, in that public static void main. So as a class test starts, your main thread will be executed. So that main thread, in that main thread we are having first method, main method. If that main method is going to call do stuff method, public static void do stuff, that is going to again call do more stuff method. And in that do more stuff method we are having one SOP statement, system.out.println hello. Okay, that is our program. So initially we are having an empty stack. Okay, so this one is the runtime stack for main thread. As your main is going to be called, so first of all, that, as I told you, main will be added in your stack because that main thread is going to call main method. Okay, so that entry in your stack is called activation record or stack frame. Okay, so as I told you, initially it is empty, then main method is going to call do stuff method is going to call do more stuff method. Once that SOP statement is printed, that will be removed from your stack. Then after do more stuff is removed, then main method is removed, and at the end your stack is empty, and that empty stack will be destroyed by your JVM. So this one is the runtime stack mechanism in our thread. Okay, now we'll see default exception handling. Inside a method, if any exception occurs, the method in which it rises is responsible to create exception object by including the following information. The first information, name of the exception, second, description of that exception, and third, location at which exception occurs. Now, after creating exception, object method hand over that object to the JVM. Now, JVM will check whether the method contain any exception handling code or not. If method doesn't contain exception handling code, then JVM terminate that method abnormally and remove corresponding entry from the stack. Then JVM identifies caller method and check whether caller method contains any handling code or not. If caller method doesn't contain handling code, then JVM terminate that caller method also abnormally and remove corresponding entry from the stack. This process will be continued until main method, and if the main method also doesn't contain handling code, then JVM terminate main method also abnormally and remove corresponding entry from the stack. Then JVM handover responsibility of exception handling to the default exception handler. which is also part of just JVM. Okay, so now this default exception handler print exception information in the following format. Okay, and terminate the program. The format is exception in thread xxx, that is any thread name, then name of the exception, okay, then colon, description of that exception, and stack trace. Okay? As I told you, three informations are going to be printed: name of the exception, description of the exception, and location at which exception occurs. So the exact output will get in this format: exception in thread xxx, where xxx is the name of thread, name of exception, which exception arises, colon, description of that exception, and stack trace. Okay, so let's we take an example. Consider this example: class test. With that class test public static void main string arrays, we are having a method do call. That do call method is called by main method. Again, public static void do stuff method, that is going to call do more stuff method. Then in that do more stuff method we are having system.out.println some mathematical expression 10 divided by 0. So this one is the uh, stack stack for that main thread. Okay, now let's we execute, compile the program. So java c tester.java, execute the program java test. Once we, so if we are going to compile a program, that is absolutely there is no compile time error in this program, but while we are going to execute this program we are going to get an error. Okay, exception. That exception is, as I told you, exception in thread main. So in this program we are having only one thread, that is main. Then name of that exception. Name of exception is java dot lang dot arithmetic exception, colon, which exception? So exception, name of that exception, that is divide by 0. Now here, first of all, that divide by 0 is occurred at do more stuff. So it is going to print at test do more stack trace, we have to write. So at test dot do more stuff. Okay, this stack is for test class. So at test dot do more stuff. Okay, then JVM will terminate that program and go back to the caller of do more stuff. The caller of do more stuff is do stuff. Now JVM will check whether we are having any do handling code in that do stuff. No, there is no any handling code in do stuff. So again, that will be printed over that program. Sorry, that entry will be removed from stack, and that method will be terminated abnormally. So again, the JVM will move from that to the caller of do stuff. The caller of do stuff is main method. Again, it will check whether main is going to handle that, that is main is having any handling code or not. But here main doesn't have any handling code. So again, JVM is going to terminate main method also, and all the stack trace will be given to the uh, default handler, and this information will be printed by the default handler. Okay, so the exact exception what we are going to get, that will be exception in thread main, then name of the exception, that is java dot lang dot arithmetic exception, colon, divide by 0 at test dot do more stuff at test dot do stuff at test dot main. Let's take some next example. Again, we are having class test. In that public static void main string array args, main is going to call method do stuff, and then one SOP statement system.out.println 10 divided by 0. This do stuff method is going to call do more stuff, and after that we are having system.out.println hi, and do more stuff is going to print hello. So let's trace the program. First of all, main is going to be executed. Main is going to call do stuff method. Just do this do stuff method. First of all, call do more stuff method. So do more stuff method will be print hello. Then it will come back. So do more stuff method is completed. So it will go back to do stuff method. Now do stuff method is going to call that high statement. After completing high statement, it will go back to main method. Now in that main method we are having an exception. Okay. So uh, compile a program, execute a program. So while we are going to execute, this type of output we are going to get. So first of all, hello, after that hi, and then we'll get that exception in thread main, java.lang.arithmetic_exception divide by 0 at test.main only. So in previous example, that 10 divided by 0 was in do more stuff. So from that only we don't have any except handling code. But here the two methods are going to be executed successfully, and after that the statement is having exception. So then only we are going to get that error. So now it is the responsibility of default exception handler if we are not going to provide any handling code to our program. Okay. Now the next topic, that is exception hierarchy. So here, as you can see, throwable is a main class for the exceptions. So basically, there are two types, two child, we can say two children of this throwable class. The first one is error, and second one is exception. Okay, so this error and exceptions are going to be occurred at runtime only while we are executing our programs only. Okay, so uh, the examples of errors are out of memory error, stack overflow error, linkage error. Out of exceptions, examples of exceptions are IO exceptions, runtime exception. Again, the child of IO exceptions are end of file exception, file not found exception, unknown host exception, interrupted exception, runtime exceptions. Examples, the childs are arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, index out of bound exception, etc. etc. There are so many classes in that exception class. Okay, so uh, we'll see what is the difference between this exception and error. Okay, here, as I mentioned over here, most of the time exceptions are caused by our program, and these are recoverable. Okay, whatever we are writing, because of that, that exceptions occur. For example, file not found exception. So we would like to access file which is located at Mumbai, but that file doesn't available. So what is the solution? Just use the local file, execute the program. Okay, so in the try block, that a risky code we have to write, and in catch block, the handling code we have to write. Okay, and most of the time errors are not caused by the program, and these are due to lack of system resources, and these errors are non-recoverable. For example, out of memory error. Okay, so in such if such error occurs, the program will be terminated abnormally. Now, as I told you, as we had seen in this figure, two terms it is given: checked exception and unchecked exception. That is very important to a point for this exception theory of exception chapter. So checked exception versus unchecked exception. Okay, so what is checked exception? The exceptions which are checked by compiler for smooth execution of the program are called checked exception. Okay, what is the meaning of that? Let's take one example. Suppose you are going to appear for the board exams, for example 12 science exam. Okay, so while you are going to leave your house, what your mother is going to ask, uh, beta, please show me your hall ticket. Okay, to check whether you have taken your hall ticket or not. Okay, so that is not, you are not going to write your exam at your home. You are not going to execute your program. Before execution, for the smooth conduction, पे एग्जाम सेंटर पे कोई प्रॉब्लम ना हो, इसके लिए आपकी मदर घर पे ही आपसे निकलने से पहले पूछेंगे, हैव यू टेकन योर हॉल टिकट, क्या आपने आपका हॉल टिकट लिया है? ओके, आप बोलोगे हाँ हाँ लिया है, नहीं नहीं नहीं, पहले मुझे बताओ। आपकी माँ क्या बोले, कहेंगे नहीं हमें पहले बताइए आपके पास हॉल टिकट है कि नहीं है। ओके, वाई? बिकॉज फॉर स्मूथ एग्जीक्यूशन ऑफ योर एग्जामिनेशन। okay, once you show the hall ticket, then your mother will ask whether you are having pen or not. ठीक है, ओके, सो आप उनको पेन बता दीजिए। ओके, देन शी विल अलाउ यू टू लीव दी क्लास। यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू एग्जीक्यूट योर प्रोग्राम, यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू राइट योर एग्जाम एट योर होम। ओके, but for the smooth conduction of your program, for the smooth conduction of your exam, your mother is going to check something. Okay, so such type of exceptions are called checked exceptions. Okay, so the examples are all ticket missing exception, file not found exceptions. Okay, now suppose let's we take another example. Suppose you are uh, going to go for the exams, 12th एग्जाम्स ओनली। ठीक है, आपका पड़ोसी खड़ा है बाजू में, और ठीक है, और पूछता है कि भाई बता मेरे को कि अगर एग्जाम चालू एग्जाम में बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट होगा तो आप क्या करोगे? आप आंसर क्या दोगे? है उसका कोई आंसर? बिकॉज ये सारी इवेंट क्या है कि जो एग्जीक्यूशन हो रहा है उस टाइम पे हो रहा है, ठीक है। दैट इज नॉट फिक्स कि बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट होना ही होना है। बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट का ऑलमोस्ट 1-2 लाख एग्जाम पे एक आध बार कभी कभार होता है, नहीं तो नहीं होता है, ठीक है। सो द एक्सेप्शन विच आर नॉट चेक बाय कंपाइलर whether programmer handling or not, such type of exceptions are called unchecked exceptions। भाई बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट होगा दैट इज द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ एग्जाम सेंटर, उससे हमें कोई लेने देना नहीं है। मेरे जो घर वाले हैं, मदर फादर नेबर्स, उन्हें कोई लेना नहीं है। उनको क्या प्रॉब्लम, उनका उन्हें क्या चेक करना है? whether I had taken hall ticket properly or not, whether I had taken what we can say ball pen properly or not. Okay, but what I will do if bomb blast is going to be happen, that is not my responsibility. At least that is the responsibility of a exam center. Okay, so what we can say, compiler अगर check कर रहा है तो वो क्या होगा? कंपाइलर चेक कर रहा है, किस चीज के लिए कर रहा है? बिकॉज फॉर स्मूथ एग्जीक्यूशन ऑफ प्रोग्राम, तो वो हो जाएगा चेक्ड एक्सेप्शन। और अगर जेवीएम कुछ चेक कर रहा है, ठीक है, तो वो हो जाएगा अनचेक्ड एक्सेप्शन। ओके, सो द एग्जांपल्स आर बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट एक्सेप्शन एंड arithmetic exception. This point is very important. Whether it is checked exception or unchecked exception, every exception occurs at runtime only. Okay, there is no chance of occurring any exception at runtime. At compile time. Sorry, it's my mistake. There is no chance of occurring any exception at compile time. Okay, so checked exception, that is the exception which is checked by compiler for the smooth execution of program. Okay, and unchecked exception, that is exception which are not checked by the compiler, whether programmer handle that uh, or not. Okay, such type of exceptions are called unchecked exceptions. Okay, again in that checked exception we are having two categories: fully checked exceptions versus partially checked exceptions. So a checked exception is said to be fully checked if and only if all its child classes are also checked exceptions. For example, IO exceptions, interrupted exceptions. Okay, and a checked exception which is not to be fully, which is said to be partially checked if and only if some of its child classes are unchecked. For example, throwable exceptions. Okay, so few are checked and few are unchecked, and raised partially if all if child are also checked exception, then it is called as fully checked exception. Now we'll see how we can handle that exception. So it is highly recommended to handle exceptions, as I told you. The code which may raise exception is called risky code, and we have to define that code inside a try block, and the corresponding handling code we have to define inside catch block. So see here in block one try, in that whatever risky code we are having, curly braces start, curly braces close, and accordingly what exception or what alternative options we are going to provide, that we have to write in the handling code, and that will be taken by catch block. So here is the example without try catch block and with try catch block. So class test public static void means string array, that system.out.println statement 1. After that statement 1 we are having 10 divided by 0, and then system.out.println system statement 3. So first of all statement 1 is going to be executed. Okay, then after we are going to get arithmetic exception. So it's the exact answer, exact runtime exception will be exception in thread main arithmetic exception java.lang.arithmetic exception colon divide by 0 at class test. In short, I had written only arithmetic exception colon divide by 0, and this one is the abnormal termination. The statement 3 is not going to be executed. Okay, so that disturbs the our normal flow of program. Okay, so here exception arises. How we can handle that is been given over here. So class test public static void with string array of first statement system.out.println as one. That is my normal code. This is not my risky code, so I'm not going to put in the try block. but this 10 divided by 0 is my risky code. There may be a chance of getting an arithmetic exception. So that I will put inside the try block. So what is the alternative solution that I have to write in the catch block? So catch arithmetic exception E in that system.out.println. I'm going to print some static value, some value 5. Okay, so if exception arises, I'm going to print value 5 and then continue rest of the program. So while we are going to execute this program, statement 1 will be executed. Now it will check the statement system.out.println 10 divided by 0. So there is an exception. So but we are having exception handling code try catch block. So it is going to execute the catch block. In that catch block we are having value 5. So that 5 will be printed and then statement 3 will be printed. Okay. So now consider this example, control flow try catch block we are going to see. So in try block we are having three statements, statement 1, statement 2, statement 3. Accordingly we are having catch statement, catch exception, any exception x e and statement 4 and statement 5. Now the first case, if there is no exception, okay, so the execution sequence is statement 1, statement 2, statement 3 and statement 5. If exception arises, then only catch block will be executed. So uh, uh, sequence of the execution of the statements are statement 1, statement 2, statement 3 and statement 5, and it is called normal termination. Next case, if an exception arises at statement number 3 and corresponding exception is also available. Okay, so the flow of execution is statement 1, okay, then statement 4 and then statement 5, and it is called as normal termination. Now again, if exception arises at statement number 2 but corresponding catch block is not available. What is the meaning of that? Previously I forget to explain you. Corresponding, suppose statement 2 is 10 divided by 0. System.out.println 10 divided by 0. So here in catch block we have to write catch arithmetic exception E. Why? Because 10 divided by 0 is arithmetic exception. Okay, that means corresponding catch block is available. But here I'm going to my statement is 10 divided by 0 and in my catch block I had written 5 not found. So that exception will not be accepted by the JVM. Okay, so in that case, that is our case number 3. If an exception arises at statement number 2 and corresponding catch block is not available, then statement 1 will be executed and program will be terminated abnormally. Next case, if an exception at statement 4 or at statement 5, then it is always abnormal termination. Okay, so because statement 4 and statement 5 we had not handled with the help of try and catch block. Okay, thank you.